Good morning, welcome to CATEX TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. Today is Thursday, May 16th, 2013. A big line of very strong thunderstorms and tornadoes went through North Texas last night, killing at least 6 people and injuring at least 100 more. There were multiple fatalities in the wake of the storm that touched down in Granbury, Texas. This is according to the sheriff's office in the county there. The powerful storm struck a Habitat for Humanity neighborhood in the area. There are 120 homes in that area. Most of them were destroyed. With these types of tornadoes, the sheriff said, they touch down, they lift up, they touch down, they tend to hopscotch. The tornado touched down several times in Hood, Tarrant, Dallas, and Parker counties. There were reports of homes in Granbury being flattened with people inside, according to the county sheriff. The storm is now moving east. It's being tracked by CNN and other American news outlets. The United Nations is reporting that the cost of natural disasters from the year 2000 to now has now hit $2.5 trillion. This is only in 13 years. A study by the UN International Strategy for Disaster Risk Reduction said that the figure was more accurate than traditional tallies. The author of the report said most tallies just represent the picture from internationally reported disasters, the big disasters which get into the news. If you add in all of the nationally reported disasters, however, those losses are about 50% higher than is currently being reported. He also said that businesses which have been outsourcing to disaster-prone locations without taking adequate catastrophe-proofing precautions face potentially disastrous situations. Of course, the insurance and reinsurance industry is well aware of that, specifically with the rain that swamped the Thai floodplains in 2011, halting output in countries in the United States, Britain, China, and India were related to the electronics industry. According to the author's report, unthinking business investment in risk regions could be dubbed toxic assets. He went on to say that the report showed that even firms with risk management departments tend to frame the issue in terms of political and market threats without looking at the natural disaster implications. Aon has come out with their annual terrorism and political violence map. When it comes to civilian unrest and the likelihood of being injured in a terror attack, the United States still ranks as one of the safest countries, but believe it or not, it's not as safe as Botswana. Even Namibia is considered safer in terms of political risk, civilian unrest, and acts of terrorism. This is according to the political risk map put out by Aon. On a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being the most risky, the U.S. ranks, like most of Western Europe, at number 2. Well, that's a pretty good number. Number 1s are Japan, Australia, New Zealand, Denmark, Finland, and Switzerland. Some of the worst countries, of course, are, as you would expect, Nigeria is 5 out of 5. The Middle East as a whole and Africa are the most unstable. About 64% of those countries represent a severe political risk, while North Africa, Iran, Iraq, and Afghanistan in particular face the obvious bouts of extreme terrorism on a daily basis. They're definitely 5s. There was a big earthquake in Los Angeles at about 1 p.m. Yesterday afternoon. It didn't cause any damage or injuries, but it was a 4.0. It was centered in the Pacific Ocean about 6 miles south of Point Fermin. Sheriff's office in the area described it as a real good jolt. In Cambodia, at least 2 people have been killed and more than 9 injured after a concrete ceiling in a small shoe factory collapsed near the capital of Phnom Penh. The factory was owned by the Taiwanese company Wingstar Shoes. The cause of the accident is not determined yet, but reports indicate that the weight of heavy equipment stored on the roof might have caused it to collapse. Of course, this comes less than a month after the tragic garment factory collapse in Bangladesh killed more than 1,100 people. One of the giants of the industry, Neil Curry, is going to retire. He's going to retire as CEO of Renaissance Re in Bermuda on July 1. He's going to be succeeded by Kevin O'Donnell, who's currently the Global Chief Underwriting Officer and President. Curry was a co-founder of RenRe in 1993, and he has served as the CEO since 2005. The industry will miss him. And the mayor of Osaka is quickly digging himself into a huge hole, basically precluding any national government leadership potential. He had sparked considerable outrage earlier this week when he made some comments about Japan's wartime sexual service industry with the comfort women. In a live TV show in Osaka yesterday, actually earlier today, he said he may have lacked international sensitivity. The mayor of Osaka, Toru Hashimoto, said his lack of sensitivity to America's perception of prostitution might have caused outrage, to his suggestion earlier this week, listen to this, that American troops based in Japan should patronize legal adult entertainment establishments to reduce sex crime there. He said, if there was one big mistake I made, it might have been my lack of understanding of culture behind the American sex industry. If you mention adult entertainment in the United States, everybody thinks of prostitution. I admit that my international sensitivity was quite poor when I had to operate beyond my national borders. He said on Monday, on a recent visit to Okinawa, where most of the troops are based, that he had told the American commander there that the United States troops should make use of the legal sex industry. U.S. officials rejected his proposal. The Pentagon Press Secretary George Little said that goes without saying. Meanwhile, in Congress, Representative Mike Honda, a California Democrat, who has urged Japan to take responsibility for wartime sex slavery, called Hashimoto's remarks that comfort women were necessary as contemptible and repulsive. He demanded Japan apologize for this atrocity immediately. That's the news for today. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.